Hello, beautiful ladies. Let me ask you a question. What if the biggest thing that is standing between you and the life that you say that you want isn't your circumstances, but it is the story that you keep telling yourself about what is actually possible for you? Beautiful souls, welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you. My name is Cassie, and on this channel we talk all things of healing, self-love, and self-care, and becoming your dream woman, and so much more. And if you like content like this, please like and subscribe to my channel. I am also opening up one-on-one coaching sessions on men who are looking to heal their self-worth, rewire their brain, shift their identity, and basically become your dream version of yourself. And so if you are feeling like, yes, that sounds amazing, that sounds like something I would be interested in, please send me an email at sayyes2healing1111@gmail.com, and we can chat there to make sure I am the right fit for you. I think a lot of times we start pointing the finger at everything to point out why things are not quite working out for us. I really want us to think about it in a different way. Because you can take all of the action in the world, that they say. You can start the business, go to the gym, you can work on your finances, you can put yourself out there in the dating scene, to find love. You can create those vision boards, you can journal, pray, and make all of the plans. You can literally do everything that they say you're supposed to do. But if somewhere deep down inside of you doesn't believe that it is possible for you, then it probably isn't going to happen. Because you're sitting there telling yourself, not consciously, but subconsciously you're doing it, this probably isn't going to work out for me. I'm not good enough. People like me don't have things like this. I'm always struggling. Never work out for me. Who am I to think that this can actually work for me? Then you're going to have a very difficult time creating a life that feels completely different from the beliefs that you're currently carrying. And this is something I wish more women should. That your mindset can either feed your desires or poison them. And I want to talk about how you can begin changing that, right? If you want to create your dream life, you don't just need new goals. You're gonna need a new relationship with yourself. You're going to need to believe that new possibilities are available to you. You're going to have to change your relationship around money, love, and even your definition of what success actually looks like in your life. And ultimately, what you believe that you are worthy of receiving. One of the biggest things that I've learned throughout my journey is that your mind can become your greatest ally if you allow it. Or it can also become the very thing that keeps you feeling stuck. You have the choice. And here's the thing. Some days are going to feel harder than others, just like the regular normal life, right? I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that you need to wake up every single day and be this positive version of you, because that's not real life, right? You're going to have days where you're going to feel tired, where you're going to feel frustrated, where you are questioning yourself from the high heavens to the low heavens, okay? You are going to have days where you don't even know what the hell is going on and what you're doing. And that is all a normal process because you're doing something different. You're doing something that you've never done before. The goal here isn't to, never have a negative thought. The goal is to stop allowing every thought you have to actually become a belief. Because there is a difference between having a thought and believing that thought. And there's also a difference of experiencing fear and allowing the fear to make every decision for you. Let's think about, we often say to ourselves, I can't do that. That's probably not going to work out for me. Oh, I'm too old. I don't have enough money. Oh, what if I fail? Oh, nothing ever works out for me. And sometimes we say these things and we don't even realize that we are actually rehearsing the same story over and over again. And eventually, that story becomes our truth. Sometimes it's just simply what feels familiar. And that's where things can get a little dangerous because our brains love to feel what feels familiar. Because your brain is constantly using your previous experiences to help you navigate your present circumstances. So if you are thinking about starting a business, you say, should I actually start this business? Like you're kind of talking to yourself. And then your mind is going to say, absolutely not. Remember the last time you tried something like this? It didn't work. And now your brain isn't necessarily trying to ruin your whole life. It's trying to protect you based on what it already knows from your past experience. It's basically saying, we've been there, done that, and we're not going to repeat that. So let's not do this again. And that's why stepping into a new identity can feel very uncomfortable at times. Because new doesn't feel safe simply because it's new. It's never been done before. If you have spent years struggling financially, this is gonna feel unfamiliar to you, right? If you've spent years being rejected, you're gonna feel like healthy love is not safe. You're gonna feel rejection is more safe than healthy love because that's what you're used to receiving. If you've spent years putting everyone else before you, you're going to find prioritizing yourself may feel selfish, right? You're not going to feel comfortable with that. You're going to maybe shame yourself, guilt yourself with that because it doesn't feel familiar. And this is why you can't simply just say, I'm going to change my life. Because I think we've all tried to do that in one shape, form, or another. And, when we try to say that we're going to change our life, we expect our internal world to instantly catch up to us. To give yourself some new experiences, you have to practice thinking differently. You have to practice responding differently to things as well. You have to start proving to yourself that you are capable of doing things differently this time. And that's how you begin to build trust and build a new relationship with yourself. Ladies, We need to stop rehearsing that old story. Oh, yes, I am guilty of this myself. We are constantly talking about, oh, what happened, replaying who hurt us, constantly talking about what didn't work out for us, constantly saying, oh, this always happens to me. Money is always tight. Men always do this. I never get what I want. People always disappoint me. I'm just unlucky. I understand why we do it, but sometimes talking about what has happened is part of processing it, but sometimes it's also living it too. And healing doesn't necessarily mean pretending something never happened, but there comes a point in time where you have to ask yourself, am I processing this? Or am I rehearsing the old story? Because those are two very different things. And if every day you are feeding your mind the same defeated story, you're actually giving your brain very little evidence something different is possible for you. So we need to stop. Actually, your identity begins to form around that story that you say. What you have to do is start giving your brain something new to talk about, something new to recognize, something new to go back to. And this doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to work out for you, but to have different experiences and different thoughts and things like that is such a beautiful thing. And this is why I talk a lot about doing the healing work, the rewiring your mindset, and becoming a new version of you. Because you cannot simply think your way into becoming a completely different woman without actually practicing new behaviors. You have to give yourself new experiences. If you've always abandoned yourself, start keeping promises to yourself. If you never speak up, start standing up for yourself. If you've always, spent money impulsively because you didn't feel safe saving it, well, then you need to start learning how to manage money with good intentions. You constantly tell yourself that you are incapable. You need to start doing small things that prove it is capable for you to do. If you are constantly saying you're not confident, you need to start practicing confidence. You need to start setting things up that will give you confidence. If you say that you don't trust yourself, then you need to start making decisions and honoring them. Because self-concept isn't just what you say in the mirror. Self-concept is also what you repeatedly demonstrate to yourself. Every time that you keep that promise to yourself, you're actually building self-trust. Every time that you choose yourself instead of abandoning yourself, you are actually building self-worth. And every time you do something that scares the heeber-jeebers out of you, you are actually teaching yourself that fear doesn't control you. And that is powerful. So let's talk about money mindset for a minute. Because I think we have things backwards a bit. And we hear people talk about wealthy families and people say, oh, they're just lucky because they had everything handed to them. But let's really think about that for a moment, right? Because financial resources matter. Having access to education, capital, connections, opportunities, and, financial stability can also create different advantages for you. But there is something else that is passed down besides that money piece. And that is really the magical piece of it all. And that's your mindset, your beliefs, behaviors, your expectations, your financial education, your confidence, the exposure that you have had throughout your life, the way that people talk about money around you, the way that people make decisions that involve money, the way that they think about receiving different opportunities, the way that they respond when something doesn't work. All of these things are important, right? Because you can give somebody a tool, but that doesn't automatically mean that they know how to use it. And you can give someone money, but that doesn't necessarily automatically mean that they have the financial habits, knowledge, or mindset necessary to manage and grow it neither. So, we've seen people receive enormous amounts of money and lose it. And we've also been able to see people with very little who gradually was able to build something substantial. So again, circumstances matter, but your knowledge, your experiences, and what you have been around your whole life matters a bit more. They do say that the 5 people that you spend the most time with is like the people that you are mostly like. And that is so true, right? Because you take on their mindsets and different things like that. The question I want you to ask yourself today is, what did you learn about money? Did you hear money doesn't grow on trees, money's hard to come by, we can't afford that, that's for rich people, people with money are greedy or evil, we have to save every penny to get that, you have to work your entire life in order to have things like that, right? So you hear things like that, or maybe you didn't hear things like that. It all depends. But many people absorb their beliefs about money based on what they were told their whole lives. We end up carrying those beliefs into our adulthood. We took those beliefs as our truth. And then we wonder why our relationship with money is complicated and not great. And it isn't about blaming our parents. It's not, our parents were only able to teach us with what they knew from their own lives, right? What they were taught and what they've experienced. They had their own fears, they had their own beliefs, and they used what they needed to do for their different survival mechanisms, right? But we are adults now, which means that we have an opportunity to say, I understand where those beliefs came from, but I don't necessarily have to carry them forward. And this is where personal responsibility becomes powerful. What we need to do is we need to stop blaming and start our healing, yes. Because, we can blame everybody under the sun, our parents, our ex, our childhood, the government, our friends, the different circumstances. And sometimes, things absolutely contributed to where we are today. But constantly asking whose fault it is doesn't necessarily help you build the next chapter, the different chapter, right? And at some points, the more powerful question becomes, what am I going to do with this information that I have now? Because you may not have been able to change what happened to you when you were 5 years old. You can't change the parents that you have. You can't, change every person who ended up hurting you. You can't change every opportunity that you ended up missing. You can't change every mistake that you've made, but you can decide what you are going to do to believe about yourself moving forward. Like, what are you going to decide differently to believe about yourself going forward? You can learn, you can heal, you can develop new skills, you can create new habits, you can change your relationship with money, you can change your relationship with yourself, you can change your expectations, you can change your standards, and you can start creating evidence that you are capable of living a different life. And I highly, highly recommend it. Because your self-concept matters more than you think. You can say, I want $1 million, but if deep down you believe, oh, people like me don't have that kind of money or make that kind of money, there's going to be that internal conflict within yourself. So instead of saying, people like me don't make that money, you can say, I want to make more money. Or you can say, I want healthy love. I want to be successful. I am open to different possibilities. Instead of focusing on what you don't want, you have to re-flip it to say something more positive. Because, you don't change your self-concept, then you are going to avoid these new opportunities that may become available for you. You are going to quit when things get hard because you're going to think that it is not for you. You are going to shrink when people start noticing you. And you may even self-sabotage, not because you are broken, but because your behaviors are sometimes trying to remain consistent with that old version of you. This is why self-worth is so important. Because if you don't feel worthy of getting that relationship, having that money, creating that business that you want, or taking that business opportunity on, having your dream home, having recognition about what you're doing great in your life, but internally you're still thinking, oh, when is this gonna disappear? What if they realize that I'm not good enough for them? Oh, I don't deserve this. This is too good to be true. You're gonna talk yourself right out of it. And then you're going to let fear kick in and you're gonna lose it all, okay? Your self-worth and your self-concept is very important. And how to rewire your mindsets is also something that I want you to practice, right? What I want you to focus on is catching that thought. So when you notice yourself thinking, I can't, I want you to pause and don't shame yourself and get angry or anything like that. And don't immediately accept that that statement is your truth. I want you to pause and ask yourself, why do I believe that I can't? Journal it out, write some things out, and then look to see why you feel that you can't. Is it based off of a previous situation? Is it based off of you not feeling worthy enough? Because a lot of this comes down to our self-worth, which sometimes was affected when we were a child and we didn't even know it. But we carried that wound into our adult life. And for the years, different circumstances added to even lower self-worth for some people, okay? That's why it's important to kind of try to figure out, like, where are some of these I can'ts beliefs stemming from, because if you don't end up healing from them, then you can't change it. Consciously, you're going to try, but subconsciously, your mind is going to hold on to that. Because this work, right, of becoming a new version of you is 80% mindset, 20% about action, right? So you have to really get your mind to believe that these things are possible for you, and then you can take some intentional action to support it. Your dream life is going to require a new version of you. So yes, your old version is going to have to die. And I'm not saying that literally, but energetically, it's not going to be able to stay with you, because that old version of you is the one with the thoughts that keeps you in fear and thinking that you're not worthy of having these things that you want and becoming your dream woman and all of that. So you to create a little story that you can write for yourself of what this new life looks like for you. And I want you to, think big, but not like too big where you are living on planet Mars or something, right? Like, I want it to be something that you feel that you can get to, but not like get to tomorrow. Okay? I want you to stretch the beliefs out a little bit more. And then when you get there, you can work on feeling comfortable with that, and then even stretch it bigger. But don't stretch it where, like, you're gonna write yourself a little story and you're like, I'm gonna become a billionaire next year. Chances of that is really not likely. The belief is good, you could keep it for down the road, but let's become a millionaire before we become a billionaire, right? And start off where something you can believe, because if you don't believe it, you're gonna read it and you're gonna be like, yeah, bullshit, this is not even gonna happen for me, and you're gonna lose hope, and it's just gonna be a waste of your time. So I want you to write yourself a little story, okay? And I want you to read it to yourself every night before you go to bed, and I want you to read it to yourself every day when you wake up, of that news story. And I want you to write it in past tense as it has already happened. You have, whatever your dream life looks like, write it out in the most detailed possible. If you could get some emotions and really use your senses to back it, go ahead. I know I've struggled with this, so I don't want to say you have to, but the more you can get behind it, the more powerful it will be. And I want you to read this to yourself, like I said, in the morning and at night, because those are the two times where your brain is the more open to receiving new ideas. And then when you go to bed at night, you are going to bed with the thoughts of your dream life in your mind, instead of thinking of everything that didn't go well for you that day. And so your dreams can start, focusing on your dream life instead of focusing on your current circumstances. And I also need you to stop feeling like you need to feel ready to make this move. You will never feel ready, babe, okay? You're never gonna feel ready to do the healing work, to become the new version of you. So, that's why a lot of times we don't start this work until shit hits the fan. And then you're like, oh, I need to do something different, right? Because you got to. And that's why change always happens when we are going through some difficult seasons in our life. Because when things are good, babe, we're not trying to make things worse. We're trying to enjoy the life. You can be brave and say, you know what, I want to heal because I don't have the life that I want right now. And I feel like my self-worth is low and it's really holding me back from becoming the woman that I truly desire to be. Let that be enough today to say yes to healing. To say, yes, I want differently and I am capable of doing it. Because feeling ready is just not gonna, you're never going to. So don't allow that to hinder you and hold you back and keeping you feeling trapped in that old story for your whole life. Another thing I want to add on is so many people, they don't feel that they are allowed to have a different life, that they are allowed to create a different story for themselves. I just want you to believe and to know that you are allowed to evolve, honey. You are allowed to change your minds as many times as you need to. You are allowed to think bigger. You are allowed to want more, to have healthy love, to have peace, to become more confident within yourself, to have a beautiful home, and to, live your dream life. You are allowed to have it all. And don't allow people who are maybe wanting to keep you staying where you're at hold you back and say, oh, you've changed, or oh my goodness, I can't believe that you've become stuck up, or you're so arrogant, or you're this, you're that. People are going to judge you no matter what. Okay, they're going to judge you for trying to become a new version of you. They're going to judge you for staying the same. They're going to judge you for doing good, doing bad, whatever. People are going to judge. You just have to figure out, am I going to allow that judgment to hold me back my whole life? Because let me tell you, if they were brave enough to change their life, they most certainly would. So don't allow family, friends, or anyone to talk you out of becoming that best version of you. Because everybody wants you to do good as long as you don't do better than them. So remember that. Strong with what you truly desire in your heart. Because it's your soul talking to you, babe. Soul talking to you and saying, this is for you. I want you to ask yourself, what are you currently feeding your mind? Are you feeding it fear? Are you feeding it scarcity? Are you constantly telling it the old story? Are you constantly reminding yourself of everything that went wrong throughout your life? Or are you beginning to introduce your mind to new possibilities? Because the past can explain you, but it doesn't have to define you. You can learn something new. You can practice different things. You can become someone different. And yes, it may take time. It may be uncomfortable at times. And you're probably going to have days where you fall back to some old patterns. That is okay. That is normal. It isn't about perfection. The story that I said earlier in this. And make sure you tell yourself that every day. Because it's going to matter. It's going to make you believe in something different for yourself. Maybe at first you won't. Maybe you'll feel goofy. I did too. Because starting something new, doing something differently feels goofy. You always feel silly doing it, right? But then after a while, you're like, oh, this just feels normal because it becomes a new habit for you. So don't underestimate the power of your self-concept. Don't underestimate the power of changing the beliefs that you inherited throughout your life. And most importantly, don't allow that old version of you to convince the new version of you that your future has to look like your past. Because you are capable of doing the work that is required to become that new version of you. You are feeling that you want to make this change, I want you to write in the comments today that I am rewriting my story. And if you would like support in this, even if you don't want the coaching, I also have a free Facebook group where I talk a lot about healing, identity shifting, self-love and self-care, and so much more about your mindset and things like that, right? Because 80% of the work here is mindset work. You can put all the action in, but if your mind doesn't believe with what your body is doing, then it's not going to come together. Okay? I just want you to know that your past may have shaped you, but it does not get to decide who you become. And know that you are worthy, you are amazing, you are loved, and you deserve to become your dream woman. And it all starts with you making the decision to do it. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.